I've just got back from picking up this monstrosity from a good friend of mine. It's an Epilog Legend 32X. The reason it's dismantled is because it weighs so much we could not pick it up. We had to take the laser out and half the power supplies just to be able to put it on the cart to move it. So this thing is in my possession because a couple of years ago, a friend of mine who owned it said it just stopped working one day. It was intermittently not firing the laser for a while, and then it just wouldn't fire at all. He had a quote to get it fixed of about £4,500. And I, somewhat jokingly, said, if you ever decide to throw it away, I'll have it because I can use the gantry and the case and build a new laser in it. So 2.5 years later, he calls me up and says I need a shot of it. And this is why it's in my shed. The thing, including its ridiculous base, was transported here in the back of my Outlander. Only just fit, just about managed to get through the back door into the shed. So the plan is to rip the whole thing out, throw the laser away, throw the controller board away, throw the power supply away, put a glass CO2 tube laser in here, maybe similar wattage. It's a 75 watt at the moment. Replace the motors because the motors in it are brushed servos rather than stepper motors, and hopefully get it working again. However, after a bit of research, it turns out that the fault described may have been just an interlock switch on the laser itself. So it might just work. However, I don't think I want to keep it the way it is, even if it does work. The controller board only uses very old CorelDRAW software. It's incompatible with absolutely everything else. And I just don't want to deal with that. So if the laser does work, I'll be retrofitting a ruder DSP board to it using Lightburn, which is I've used previously on my very old K40 that is long since dead. I'll probably keep the power supply because that's needed for the laser, and tap off the 48 volts to create 48 volts will work on the steppers, but I'll tap off the 48 volts to create 5 volts and 12 volts for the rest of the system. It's air cooled, which is not great. It makes it very noisy. I might look at water cooling it at some point, but that's probably a very big and awkward job. But let's see what happens. So the build won't start tonight, but hopefully this weekend we'll see what I can do. So it's been a couple of days since I picked up the laser cutter, and I've been doing a bit of research. It seems this machine is at least 20 years old. The latest software update I can find for it is 2004. I think a rebuild, replacing the motors and the controller and the driver as planned, is initially going to cost maybe £200. That controller will be a simple G-code one rather than an expensive Rueda one. I prefer to do it this way just in case everything goes wrong and I'm stuck with a controller for a machine that doesn't work. What I will do next, I think, is start taking it apart, checking the size of all the motor mounts and all of the shafts, because the motors are going to have to fit in the original mountings. I don't fancy necessarily making new mountings, but I can if I need to. I also need to see if I can test fire the laser, which will be quite an interesting thing to do. I think we'll leave it there, and next video I upload will be, I guess, putting it back together. Wish me luck.